indexes gives you day-to-day and a monthly basis, especially from a planning perspective. And then also take a brief glimpse into what the day-to-day operational management of a typical infrastructure and QAD environment looks like. At the end, we'll take some of the questions from the audience, and hopefully we can get those covered for you. So I'm hoping that what we covered today will achieve the goals and objectives for your purpose for attending today. So, I want to start off here real quick with a welcome to the future, and you must be wondering, what has an Apple Watch got to do with managed services? Many of you out there have perhaps own an Apple Watch or have most definitely heard of Apple Watch. And a very, very interesting story. Actually, two incidences. One reported in August of 2015 by a 62-year-old gentleman by the name of Dennis Anselmo of Canada. Apparently, he was with friends, and his Apple Watch, which, as you all know, monitors any individual's heartbeat and pulse. He was showing a pulse rate of 210 beats per minute. And something was wrong because, nobody's pulse should be at 210 beats per minute. It wasn't like he was on a marathon or something. And he told his friends, please get me to an ER. Well, he got to the ER, and they basically told him, you're about to have a heart attack. And there was another interesting story like that. So it's just amazing that technology indirectly is beginning to help monitor and control aspects of our lives. I think, and this is just the world according to me, I think at some point in the future we get to see, and I suspect it's not too far away, but I suspect that we're going to get some technology in the not too distant future. It's going to probably be monitoring more and more of our vital signs and then alerting us to when something goes wrong. The good news is that today, Elevate Strategic is doing exactly that for infrastructure and QAD environment. Through our software that runs in your environment, we're able to pick up thresholds at the floor level as well as the ceiling level. And depending on where those thresholds are and depending on what your infrastructure is doing or QAD database, we're able to be alerted and respond to and prevent incident occurring that may cause an issue to your environment. Really, to use some poetic license here, MSERV is really just keeping an eye on the heartbeat of your system. Many users, many of our clients are out there sharing with us what I'm calling the new normal. Some of the why more and more clients are looking to have their environments managed is because IT users, either external or internal or external, are demanding more agility and flexibility. They want more out of their environment. They want it yesterday, and IT is challenged constantly trying to keep up with some of those internal and external essays and being able to deliver an environment that is consistent, and, always available to the needs of business. From a strategy perspective, in order to drive as much and squeeze out as much efficiency and optimization out of your environment from a performance, availability, accessibility, and recovery perspective, many clients are trying to find different ways to do that because it's not necessarily a full-time job. Many times it gets done in more of a tactical way rather than a strategic way. No pun intended there, by the way. So, because you've got your day jobs to do, you've got to support your business, you've got to be working on new projects, you've got to build relationships, you've got to manage communications, and it's a constant struggle trying to find ways to get your environment as efficient and as optimized as much as possible so that you can get out the maximum performance, availability, accessibility, and recovery. In order to get there, there are many ways you can get there. You can put them in the cloud. You can stay on-premise. It can be hosted. But knowing how and when to apply that, because there's no right or wrong answer or say there's no right or wrong approach to any client or requirements. And Strategic is able to partner with folks like yourself to figure out where you are today, where you need to be, what are your challenges, and what's preventing you from getting there. Our primary focus is to give clients the peace of mind, while at the same time helping them to support their growth, lower their costs, increase productivity, and either help find ways to reduce or mitigate risk as much as possible. Many clients are striving to drive out those challenges, as I mentioned, the performance, availability, et cetera, and it's very difficult to do all 5 of these things at the same time. Very difficult to become 100% mature in all 5 categories. And what we have found is that many clients in the various categories are trying to get as mature as they possibly can, but they'll gravitate towards subsets of these 5 areas within the Pentagon. The area we get most positive feedback from our clients is under risk management. And the reason why I say that is because many of their staff are being tapped 24/7. Their weekends are challenged. That's the number 1 feedback we get from our clients who partner with our managed services program, is that they are saying they finally have got their nights and weekends back. But it doesn't exclude, be able to provide your environment with as much speed and performance as possible from an agility perspective, be able to scale your environment and provide the availability that your business users demand, being able to create systems that are accessible, that are not just simple, but standardized and are repeatable. That is a very big driver with many clients as well, trying to squeeze that simplicity and standardization out of it. Last but not least, of course, all of us are responsible to a CFO of some sort or a controller within our organizations, and want to keep the CapEx and the OpEx down as much as possible. All of these functions are the core to all of these functions, again, to find ways to reduce that risk. We can never remove the risk permanently, but we can find ways to reduce those risks as possible. The area that many clients are using to eliminate many of their risks that they find difficult to control is probably getting out of the infrastructure ownership and management business. Many clients are saying, I want to focus more on the strategic part of our business. I want to leave the day-to-day operations of our IT environment and all the speeds and feeds to someone else, like a strategic, like an MSERV. Some of these challenges, from outages, trying to dynamically increase capacity, saving on energy, finding higher levels to squeeze out performance in your environment, being able to deliver on those SLAs as quickly as possible, and whatever metrics they are that you are being held accountable for, is a big driver for clients. Now, there's no right or wrong as to whether you should stay on premise or move to the cloud or host your environment. There is no right or wrong answer, because a lot depends on what your requirements are, what your security policies are, and again, it's a depends answer. But a lot of clients are wanting to take away the unnecessary pain of bothering about the speeds and feeds of infrastructure as itself. The process perspective, the managed services team is well prepared and geared as we partner with our clients through a cyclical process from design, implementing, operating, and optimizing. Everything is cyclical because what starts off a design ultimately goes around and becomes a work in progress. So on the design part, we have many functional areas and technical areas that we can assist our clients from, most importantly, for those clients who are FDA regulated, making sure you've got the appropriate infrastructure and QAD IQs, appropriate planning, working with subject matter experts, and being able to work with subject matter expert consultants, driving toward solutions around your OS network, looking at migration, relocations, and ultimately looking at DR and backups. is certainly a key component, very much a top of the priority list for companies who are publicly traded and are governed by Sarbanes-Oxley. That is a requirement, and DO can come in many forms as well. And again, it's a depends answer because different clients have different SLAs, RTOs, and RPOs. So solutions are typically customized for clients like that. Implementation side, what we deploy based on standardized builds through virtualization is minimum disruption, and the reason is because we developed this, we've rolled it out to a number of clients, it's repeatable, so what is coming, rolling into your environment from a management and a proactive monitoring and management perspective are solutions that have been tried and tested and is driven by best practices. For operation, we can do 24/7 in backup and DR operations. We do fault detection, monthly reporting. We are able to get data almost to the extent where it becomes data analytics. What we are trying to do is separate anomalies from trends. Those trends are what will feed constant analysis on the health of your environment, helping you do better trend and capacity planning and analysis, so that ultimately you take the guesswork out of the equation, because you're making decisions about your environment for the future based on data that we are gathering and that we can review with you. And it's a key component, another great benefit and advantage, a key performance index, almost to the point that I call it a critical success factor, because clients are feeding back to us and saying, you know, historically I used to plan we'd add more users, but I wasn't quite sure how much power I needed to add in terms of my infrastructure. Do I need more disk? Do I need more CPU? Do I need more RAM? Are you sharing information with me that's showing me the trend and I can better plan for it? And what a way to be able to plan so there's always no unknowns to your business, to your users, because you're always ahead of the curve. At this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to John Schmidt. As he was originally introduced, John is the manager of the day-to-day operational support of all our clients, whether they're hosted or whether they have on-premise environments, and manages the infrastructure team as well as the database team as well. So, John, I'm going to hand it over to you, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so let's start off. Thanks for the introduction, Paul, and welcome everybody again. So I'm the Managed Services Manager in charge of the day-to-day operations of all of our operations for all of our customers. So I'm going to go through some of the more technical aspects of our monitoring and our solution and our Managed Services program. So we'll start off with looking at some of the benefits of the program, starting with the monitoring, which is really the core of what we offer. And it's not just monitoring in terms of we have thresholds and alerts and whatnot, but we also have people behind those alerts and sitting behind those monitors, watching to make sure that if something does happen, they are on top of it and watching those monitors and responding to them. So it's really supervised monitoring so that your users are no longer your monitors. So our goal here is to monitor those thresholds, make sure that if something's coming up, you don't have people tapping you on the shoulder, letting you know that there's something wrong. You should already have seen it and already be in the system and finding out what's going on and communicating with you through that monitoring system. So the core of the offering for members is the monitor provides detection of issues to prevent impact to your operation. So, we try to see all issues, potential issues ahead of time, plan for remediation, and make it so that you have any downtime, and you plan ahead for any of those situations. And I'll go through some specific examples in a bit. So again, whether we detect, and then we have a team of very skilled technical people, a total of 12 right now, who are all DBs first and foremost, and also are very skilled when it comes to QAD QAD systems and infrastructure. So they're all on call, ready to react 24/7. And I'll move on here, but the monitoring, providing and trends and statistics. So Paul was mentioning earlier, you'll have real data at your fingertips that allows you to make decisions as to what you do with your system to make sure that it's running optimally and stably. So, and that's all centralized on our monitoring system. That allows us to track those issues and report on those issues on a month-to-month basis, and as needed. All of that also is stored in a Helpdesk that's accessible 24/7 by web, phone, email, and it's all built on a clearly defined set of procedures, direct escalation contacts, and as monitors trigger and alerts trigger, we have procedures and processes in place that allow us to accordingly and are also tailored to your specific systems, because no systems are the same, and make sure we're doing right by everybody. The whole goal of the managed services practice is to minimize your downtime and increase your system's performance. Okay, let's move on. All right, the strategic approach to managed services is basically we've been developing this program for over the past 6 years, and it really comes down to the people that have and have been developed over those years, and the processes that we've developed behind the monitors, and the tools that we've developed that allow us to monitor your systems and take care of them. Really a cyclical approach. It's not a set it and forget it program. We have a very good, well-defined set of standard monitors that would be installed and configured for your system. Those include things like your admin servers, your name servers, all the databases on the system. So typically there's 3 databases. Each database has up to about 12 monitors that would run against it to make sure that it's up and running, it's tuned properly, and it's not heading for all of any sort. We're also monitoring the app servers, the web speed agents, and then the operating system as well, from a disk I/O perspective, disk space, capacity, monitoring the memory on the system, as well as the CPU load, any ping times between any critical systems that are needed. So if you have a third-party integration and connectivity between the QAD server and that system, we would be monitoring to make sure that that's always there. And then we also get into things like Tomcat availability, memory utilization, which is typically a big concern, and then making sure the web apps are all up and running. That's kind of the monitoring just from a high level. All of those monitors that we installed and are running are also reporting statistics back into the monitoring system. So we're able to see trends and when trends change, or if an anomaly, we're able to see those. Again, the people that we have on the team will take those trends and statistics and use it in their troubleshooting, so we can see, if something happened a week ago system and the trend changed, we'll be able to pinpoint the exact date and time that happened, and then use it in our troubleshooting. And then from there, we're able to mediate the issues on the system. That's the whole goal, is to fix anything that goes wrong, and with the least impact to your operations as possible, and continuously improve not only your environment, but the monitoring system as well, because we don't want to set thresholds high or too low to make it so we're missing stuff, or that we're monitoring too much. So it's a constant improvement on the monitoring side of things, and improvement for your environment. So taking care of QAD while you take care of your business. So this next is a glimpse of the monitoring and reporting. It's a very high-level glimpse because I didn't possibly cover everything that we do on one slide, but you'll see at the top left a board view of a system that's up and running, so you can see the server is accessible, the operating system load, memory, SH response time, how many processes are running, all of that checking out as okay. Also looking at capacity, disk space perspective, and from a load perspective on the right. Get down into the bottom half of that and the QAD application stack from rolled up view of that application stack. The NetUI app server, finance app server, we're looking at availability, load, and checking the log files to see if anything went wrong in the last 5 minutes. You see Tomcats is being monitored. We're making sure Tomcat's up and running. Memory on Tomcat isn't being used accessibly, and make sure all the web apps are running as well. And if this is a EE key system, we're checking the financial daemons, and on all systems, we're checking to make sure that all the batches that ran overnight ran successfully. Some of the things that you don't see on this page are we will also sure that your database backups are running. We have a DBA review the backups each night to make sure that they find that they've completed successfully and that you're covered for your day of operations. Mentioning databases, you'll see right along the bottom of that dashboard is all of the databases that need to be up and running. Again, check marks are all rolled up views of a series of monitors that are running against that database in the system. And goes from green to yellow or green to red. We're alerted. We get a ticket that gets created in the Helpdesk system, and we also get text messaging, and we have a monitor running to make sure that any tickets that come through are signed immediately. You'll see that also at the bottom, there's trends that are being gathered for most of those. I'd say about 9% of the monitors that we have up and running on an Enterprise Edition system. It's about 125 to 130 monitors that would run. On a standard edition, it would be more around 80. But one of those is gathering statistics over time so that we can really see, what the growth rates are, where things changed, where the trend changed, or if it was just an anomaly or a spike. And so on the right side, you'll see a list of all the technology that goes into our monitoring systems and our managed services program. Keep going. I mentioned earlier that our Helpdesk is available 24/7. So this is your gateway into the web interface. You would have a username, password that you can log into, look at your tickets, run reports against all the tickets that have come through. You also have access to speak to somebody live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through a phone system. And so we have email distribution that will contact everybody on the team and open a Helpdesk ticket as well. So usually covered 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you need to talk to somebody live, all you have to do is pick up the phone and someone will be available to talk to you and work issues. Let's keep going. So once you're into that web face, you have a whole bunch of reporting that is available at fingertips. So you'll be able to see how many tickets come into the system, how many are completed, how many are overdue, based off of your SLAs. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see we're able to really drill down and see what categories of tickets are coming through and where we need to focus our troubleshooting efforts on. So you'll see QExtend 1 ticket out of the 8, and the Open App Servers 1 ticket out of the 8, and the QAD technical issue 1 out of 8. But then you'll see the OpenEdge databases account for a large part of the tickets that came through. So we really know where to focus and where and what to do on this system. At the bottom, you'll see SLA-related statistics. So you see how many came in, how many were where that might have gone over, how many were high, medium, low, normal, and how many are open now, and how many are unassigned. So it really gives a good idea of what's coming through from our monitoring system and where we need to focus on. So if we can keep, and here's we're able to really go down and see all of the issues on the system and really be able to view this visually. On the top here, we have an OpenEdge database with maybe some stability issues. And you can see if you take a look at the next column there, it's basically an active transaction lock issue on that system. It basically means that somebody's locking up a record, which I'll talk about that a little bit, because when a record lock happens, basically there's BI growth that happens as well, especially if it's for an extended period of time. So we're able to see that the system has record locking issues that are actually causing BI growth. When some record lockings happen, we're able to drill down into it and see what database it's happening on, how long that lock has been happening, what program is being run, what record is actually locked, and be able to provide you information on how to resolve that lock, or who you need to go tap on the shoulder to have that lock released, or we can release that lock manually in the background and safely. So basically, and then also are able to see the BI file growth being caused by the record locks. And then at the bottom, we're able to focus on the side if there's anything going wrong on this system. Is basically some current load, which is basically the CPUs are maxing out, over maxing out, but you see that the trend is decreasing over time. So it really allows us to focus on where the issues lie. And you'll see on the right-hand side, it's not just OpenEdge databases and Linux performance that we're concerned with. We have many, many different categories of tickets that come through that really allow us to figure out where the issues are and where we need to focus.
Thank you, John. So at this point, being able to select a provider and partner with a company such as Strategic to help with your managed services, being able to partner with a provider that knows and has the subject matter experts around QAD and the OS, where your OS is Linux or possibly even Windows, that understands your business, whether you're FDA regulated or not. I have many clients right across the board, from retail, manufacturing, life sciences, so we definitely have experience in working with multiple clients in helping them. Exceptionally strong references from our clients. We have 100% customer satisfaction levels, extremely proactive. Another feedback we got from one of our clients was the services team is just an extension of their staff. They just physically can't touch them, but the availability and the accessibility is there. And last but not least, very importantly as well, as you know, formerly SAS 70 was the guide, which has now been replaced by the SSA 16, the SOC 1, Type 1, and Type 2 processes for control in terms of process and procedures. We acquired that certification in February of this year. So whether you're publicly traded or privately owned, our approach and methodology is governed by strict documentation, incident reports, if changes are made, alignment to your change control process, escalation procedures, authorization, and ultimately, because we are accountable then for the management of your environment. From a next steps perspective, any client that was possibly interested in pursuing a program for managed services, we would set up a one-on-one meeting with you to speak a little bit more specifically about your environment, because no two environments are exactly the same. We would conduct an initial health check of QAD and infrastructure environment, and then perform any remediation to ensure that your environment at the OS and the QA level is best practices, and close any gaps. We'd go through an onboarding session with you, and then ultimately go live. And since that time of the season, we're extending an offer to all clients that if they do sign up for our managed services program before December 31st, then the first 2 months of 2017 would be, or the first 2 months would be for free. It's an exciting offer, and we would be very happy and glad to have you on board. But I'm going to turn it back over to Laura.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much, John and Paul. We're going to start the Q&A portion of this webinar. So if everyone can make sure that you type in your questions in the chat window, and by default, these will be sent to me. And I do have one question about how much does it cost? How much does managed services cost?
That is obviously always an important question, right? So costing is determined by a couple of factors. It depends on the number of users you have, because obviously if you have 10 users or you have 200 users, we basically have to support as low as 10 or as many as 200, or whatever the case may be. So it's driven by 3 factors: the number of users that you have, number of integrations that you have that's connected to your environment, so things like Cyberquery, Eagle, QMS, BizNet, FX, UPS, etc., 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 because different clients have different number of integrations. So just another point on that, we monitor your integrations as well, because those applications, those workloads put pressure when integrate to your QAD environment, and want to make sure that no transactions getting stuck or creating a lock within your QAD environment. And then the third component is the SLA. SLAs are governed by either 8x5, 12x5, 12x7, 24x5, or 24x7. So just to clarify one point again, our monitors never turn off in a client's environment. We have resources looking at clients' environments 24/7. So when something goes from green to orange, then we are going to investigate. If you choose an 8x5 SLA, it's to be the most inexpensive. If you choose 24/7, it'll be more expensive. But I need to emphasize that if you choose an 8x5, just because you've chosen 8x5 does not mean that if something bad happens or is about to happen outside of your SLA, that you're not aware of it. A, we are aware of it, and B, we will connect with you to ask you if you want it covered. So there are a lot of dynamics that drive cost. It's not something I can just say straight up front, that's the cost. That's why it's important to have that one-on-one. It's about a 10-15 minute meeting, and I can basically give you the cost while we're doing the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Also, I got a question. Do you sell your managed services tools?
Great question. At this point, we do not sell our managed services tools. It's something that is not being considered as part of our program at this point, but I would love the opportunity to speak with the client who asked that question.
Okay, we'll know who that was. Okay, will strategic managed services support QAD running in a KVM virtual environment that is not VMware?
Yes, so this is John Schmidt, and the monitoring solution that we have in place is not tied to any specific technology. So we have the ability to monitor and manage the environment in any infrastructure.
Also, why do I need proactive and live monitoring if I can run ProMon?
That's a good question. Basically, because ProMon is a tool allow you to look at the statistics in the database. It'll allow you to see how that database is performing at a point in time. However, it does not mean that anybody's looking at it over time, and it's gathering trends and statistics and analysis. The difference between running Promon and the live monitoring that we provide is basically the live monitoring is really a holistic approach to your system. So we're taking a look at everything, whereas Promon is looking at the specific health of a specific database. So if you don't know where that issue is coming from and you're looking at Promon, it might not tell you a whole lot if it's not Promon or database that's the issue. So like I said, we monitor everything: Tomcat, app servers, web speed brokers, the operating system itself, and Promon is focused solely on a database or two. And hopefully answered the question.
Great, thank you. Will you also analyze the configuration of my production server as well?
Yes, absolutely. So whether you're running Linux or whether you're running Windows, as part of our health check process, we will look at all aspects of infrastructure so that it's got the right configuration according to QAD's best practice. QAD does recommend certain standards for your Linux infrastructure on QAD, and we will definitely do an analysis on that and provide practices and identify whatever gaps.
Can I get a client reference to learn from their MSERV experience?
Great question. We would be more than happy to not just provide a client reference, but to the extent that the client could probably match your industry and size as well, give or take, if you know what I mean. But yeah, we can absolutely do that.
And no matter what version of QAD I am running?
It doesn't. Basically, we right now we're monitoring, I think it's close to 18 or 14 different environments, different versions of QAD, all the way back to, I believe, 2007 standard edition. I don't think we have anything EB2 at this point, but that wouldn't be a problem. And it's all the way up to 2016 Enterprise Edition. Doesn't matter.
All of my integrations be monitored as well?
The answer to that is yes. So as part of the discovery and agreement, we would discovery and figure out which one of those you have and how they need to be monitored. So everybody has different integrations in their systems, and everybody does some custom development that not be standard, but we can do that discovery, figure out what you need to have monitored, and monitor it.
Thank you. Why do I have to do a health check first?
The health check is basically the entry point into the managed services program. Basically, we want to assess the health of your system currently. So maybe it's been running for 5 years, and it maybe it's going down. Maybe it's the stability of the system has degraded over time, which is why you're looking into coming into managed services. What we want to do is get those issues resolved as soon as possible. The health check is really a comprehensive look at your system today from an infrastructure perspective and from a QAD application stack to see, maybe you've grown over time, or the databases have grown over time or become fragmented, or there's some inefficiencies in some of the stuff that's going on there. So we want to basically have the health of the system assessed, and we want to basically fix it up and get it to its peak performance and stability levels, and then get you on the monitoring system so that when we turn those monitors on, you're not lighting up as all critical or all red, so to speak, and we make sure that you come in nice and clean. And if we're starting to see any issues, they're real issues, and ensure that your system is good to go.
And how long does the process take to start supporting the environment?
Typically, it takes about a week. So I would work with the client to engage them in onboarding. So I guess once the health check is done, it takes about a week from there. The health check itself takes about a week, and then if there's any remediation after that. So the health check and remediation will really depend on your flexibility as to when we can do a maintenance, if there's maintenance required. But the check itself takes about a week, and then there's a remediation phase where we want to fix everything up, and then the monitoring itself, monitoring, install, configuration, and onboarding process will take approximately another week to complete.
And another question, do we as customers have access to the dashboard and data just like your tech does at SIG?
So currently you would have, clients would have access to the Helpdesk system, so they could log in and see the tickets and run reports to see those trends and statistics through the ticketing system. Dashboard access, like I was showing earlier, is not available at this point. However, we are still working on upgrading the monitoring system that will allow us to grant access to those dashboards. So in short, eventually.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great. And what would I do if I need to escalate an issue?
So during the onboarding of the onboarding process, we will talk about contact and escalation procedures. We specifically tailor those to your company, to client's company, just basically because we know who to contact in what situations. Perhaps you have a network engineer on staff that we would need to escalate any networking related issues to. And if you need to escalate to us, we have a clearly defined set of escalation procedures, from the email address to a phone call to direct escalation contacts such as myself, Paul Dowling, and Gran. So you would have many ways to escalate an issue.
Great. I think you don't need to upgrade to EE before moving to the MSERV support service, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Question. And then who are the people supporting and touching my environment?
That would be the entire MSERV team. So like I mentioned earlier, about 12 of us. And our DBAs first and foremost. And again, they've been supporting and on this team for at least, I believe, years. They all have background checks done and all that good stuff when they come on as part of our SOC 1 Type 1. They are all U.S. based.
And John, if I can add to that as well, to John's point there about the SOC 1 Type 1, all of our resources during the reports that we run and do with our client, which, by the way, you will be able to see some of the visuals on the dashboard. We won't have direct access today, but as part of the monthly review that we do with our clients, you will be able to see that data. But part of the SOC 1 Type 1, we have to demonstrate through any transaction or that we are managing or providing resolution for that we've got the proper access control, access control, we're following change control procedures, we've got the right authorization and escalation, and all of that's got to be documented and be able to be tracked. So at any point in time when we do our, I shouldn't say at any point in time, we do our annual one coming up in February, March of 2017, when the auditors come in and they can basically pick a random transaction and can see all of the processes, if all of the processes have been followed and documented accordingly. So we have to, resources are that's touching your environment are very much aware that there's strict guidelines and process and procedure that they got to follow. And I just wanted to emphasize that point again. Thank you. Thanks, Laura.
Sure. I'd really like to keep the webinar to about an hour or less than an hour. So any questions that we haven't answered during this time will be handled on an individual basis. If you'd like further information or if you think of additional questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us at sales@strategic.com, or you can also contact your strategic sales rep And thanks again for your patience and participation today, and we look forward to having you join us for another strategic webinar in the future.
Everyone, bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.